Item number 3, recovery scoping meeting with FEMA and TDM and the grant information.
Okay. Yes, Judge, thank you for having us today. I am going to join the meeting.
Do I need to bring you the sign-in thing so you can use that, or do you have it?
Ma'am?
For the internet?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Oh, that's what we've got right here.
Oh, okay.
And I'm fixing to join our meeting. We'll have some people that are coming in.
Do we need to wait for some people? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
They're gonna log in on the
Oh,
internet.
all right,
yes,
on the Zoom. All right.
we're connecting now. It looks like that we have several on. And let's see what we can do here. Okay.
I don't think there's any-
Hello, everyone. This is James Ross. We're fixing to start the meeting with Freestone County for the recovery scoping meeting. We'll get who's online in just a minute.
All right.
Judge, if you don't mind, I will start the login here. And also, I have some agendas. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, yes. And I have a few more. Matthew, if anybody else needs one. Sure. Sure. Absolutely. And if we could, this is the recovery scoping meeting with FEMA. What we're here to talk about today are the damages that were caused from the storm that came through. It's called DR 4781 Texas, or Disaster Recovery 4781. And we will discuss in depth the damages that the county had. That's what we're trying to do here today. But if I could just go around and get each person here to introduce themselves, I would appreciate it. And we have a login sheet too, so if we could do that.
Clyde, would you like to introduce yourself?
Clyde Ridge, Freestone County Commissioner, Precinct 4.
Okay.
Lloyd Lane, Freestone County Commissioner, Precinct 3.
Linda Grant, County Judge.
Will Maxwell, Commissioner, Precinct 2.
Andy Bonner, Commissioner, Precinct 1.
Renee Gregory, County Clerk.
Okay.
Brian Evans, County Attorney.
Okay.
Or for the local newspaper, Roxanne Thompson.
Okay.
And I'm Lyle Sanders, with the Texas Division of Emergency Management, the county liaison officer out of Robertson County.
Good morning, I'm Matthew Weeks. I'm a recovery coordinator for TDM Region 8. I think you guys have been working with Randy Masterson in the past, so I'm her counterpart in the region. So,
And let's see if I can drag this around here. Who do we have online starting with the state?
Jennifer Rudolph, I'm with Texas Division of Emergency Management. I'm a county liaison officer for Region 8.
Okay. Who else for the state?
This is Kevin Eppley, support village for Freestone County.
Okay. All right. Great to have you on. Who's here on from FEMA?
Annie Terrell, Site Inspector.
Okay. Who else?
Caitlin Boyce with FEMA PHP.
Okay.
Philip Beckel, I am a Category A debris program delivery manager, strictly Category A.
Okay. Anyone else from FEMA? Okay, so is that everyone? All right. Judge, again, thank you, and commissioners, thank you for having us here today. And what we wanted to talk about was the event that happened April 25th or 26th through June the 5th. And it was declared an emergency on May the 17th. We had our exploratory call, I believe, on the 26th of July and maybe the 31st of July. It was split into two parts. I believe where we could get some of the commissioners here to answer some questions, and also Mr. Smith. And Mr. Smith told me that he would not be here today, that he's in class, but certainly I appreciate y'all entertaining us this morning. The objectives of the recovery scoping meeting mainly is to talk about the damages that happened. I have talked with Mr. Smith about these damages, and we asked for an advanced list of the damages, and Mr. Smith said that the commissioners were working on that, and that he felt like that we should get that list in a couple of weeks. Do you think that that is possible?
We've already given him our list. Last Tuesday, we submitted the list to Mr. Smith.
Okay, well.
And he's already got it.
He's already gotten that, and that covers all of the precincts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. No, we have.
I'm sorry?
I thought you did.
You didn't email Leonard?
Oh, yeah, Leonard's got it. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Mr. Smith does have that list?
Yes.
Okay. And I will ask him for that list. Okay, and what we talked about, and I think Matthew, when we talked to Leonard last time, it was I talked with him with our site inspector just to talk about the list, and he was we had told him that we would probably try to have the site inspections the first part of September. And again, I would ask, is that something that the state and the applicant could entertain? And the reason I say that is, when we do our site inspections, we have to have somebody from Freestone County there, and we also have to have the state present there. So I guess, would y'all be available, or would Mr. Smith be available for those inspections?
Probably.
I think it'll be,
It'd be better than us,
Okay.
because we can show and explain things better.
So now some of those site inspectors have already been here at one time, right after that. There was
Yeah, they
couple
came
people
and took
came
pictures
and went with us. I mean, we had somebody went with me and Will, and I assume
that information's in the piece that.
and somebody else went with Andy and Lloyd.
Okay. What these will constitute is the official site inspection, and from that we will build a damage report that will go into our damage inventory list, and I'll get into that and kind of explain the steps that we'll need to go through. From the list that you had, about how many damages did you list all total?
Let me ask, do you have a copy of yours? They may each, do you have a copy of
I
yours?
got it, mine's simple, I turned in 4 sites. The
Okay.
major ones, there's so many minor ones, it's gonna bog things down. I'll take care of those. I had 4 major ones that I turned in.
Yeah, I think I turned in about
Well, we might,
4 or
if you
5.
wanted us to, we could give you a copy of what we,
And I had 14 places in precinct 3.
Okay. And if before I leave today, yes, ma'am, if I could get a copy of this, of the list, and also Matthew, and the state would need a copy of that list also. So, what will, and again, from Freestone County, when we had our exploratory call, we talked about the categories of work that Freestone County had. I know that you had debris, and what is the status of your debris now as far as the cleanup?
Mine's still exactly like it was.
Mine too. We were too busy repairing roads, and then it got hot, and we're just not chainsawing anything. We're gonna wait till it cools off. All the roads are cleared. Got one, the bridge out's on the road I've got shut down, and they're
On my road,
currently
open,
building
we just hadn't had time to pick it up.
in.
I'd say that 90% of mine's picked up.
None,
Yeah,
okay.
I've got, depending on the road, between 75 and 80% of the debris has been hauled off. I still have some, but it's on my wider roads, so my roads are open.
Okay, all right. But all of the debris will be picked up and disposed of, is that correct?
Yes.
Picked up off the roadway, or are you just gonna leave it on the
No,
we'll
we'll pick it up.
Pick it up? Yeah. Okay. All right. We do have somebody from our debris section that's on now. And Philip, are you on?
I'm on.
Do you have any questions about the debris?
How much time do you want me to allow for this?
How much time do you need?
Well, it has basic questions, and then it would depend on who is creating and working the project. It will be, category 8 will be a streamlined project application. It needs to be done by the applicant with or without guidance from FEMA, or we can create it and then be asking the questions through you of the applicant to formulate this project.
Okay, are y'all familiar with FEMA and the SPA, the streamline application? So, would you want us to do that for you and create the SPA for you? And what this is a streamline application. Let me step back. Are you going to pick up the debris using a contractor, or are you gonna?
No, we did it ourselves.
We did it ourselves.
Okay. Philip, they're gonna use their own county labor to pick up the debris.
Okay, do they have an estimated approximate cost on how much the category A debris will be?
No, not at this time.
How about an estimated cubic yards of debris? Not at this time?
No.
I've got a question about that while we've got him on.
Okay.
That's something, so that was one of the things I was wondering when we get ready to fill out the forms. I'm assuming that one of the questions will be, how many cubic yards? So,
Yes.
So we're going to, so I know exactly what size my 2 trailers that we haul debris off in. And like I say, we've done roughly 75% of it. So keeping up, and we've kept up with each load, okay? And depending on where these places were that we were loading the trailers, there were different places that we took the debris to. So it's not one common site that all the debris is going. And so my question would be is just as long as we would just calculate the volume of the trailer, the
Yes.
capacity times the number of loads,
Yes.
and that'll be the total amount of debris.
That will be, and then there will be other questions such as where did you take it to? And then how did you dispose of it? Did you burn it? Did you chip it?
Right.
Things of that nature.
Do you put down your man hours and your truck?
Yes, sir. Man
You load
hours.
everything.
Yes, sir.
Fuel call, da-da-da-da-da.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And all of that will be documented and then turned in, and that will be the cost. And from that, that's how the county will be reimbursed from that documentation. Yes.
That was my main three question right there, just to.
They're just on debris removal, that's where we are right now?
Yes,
Okay.
on the debris removal. Yes, sir. So, Philip, did you have anything else as far as the debris?
Well, did they come to the decision on who would be creating the straight line project application for class category A debris?
They're asking us to do that.
Okay. In that case, I will be relaying to you the questions necessary to create and work this application. I will also be sending all documentation, the invoices, weight tickets, and all this will be kept with the applicant. I will be asking for things like a course account, labor summary, equipment summary, any contract summaries if there's a contract, cost summaries. I will be sending examples of that to them through you.
Okay, all right.
With other questions that need to be asked.
Okay, all right. What we can do on this, and let me step back. As far as the process that we go through from FEMA's standpoint, first of all, we collect the damages. What are the damages? Debris is in a category by itself. It's considered an emergency, but we still document the debris that's picked up, like Philip was talking about. And then also what we end up doing is we will send out a damage inventory list. Now this will cover all your other sites, such as your roads and your buildings. And this will be filled out. Each one of your damages will be put on there, and then we'll start grouping those damages into projects. From this day, from the date of this recovery scoping meeting, there will be 60 days, and we have to get the damage list in. And it has to be uploaded into Grants Manager. After 60 days, it will be, we will not be able to put any more damages in. So what we will end up doing is we'll have a recovery scoping meeting today, and then from here on out, I'll schedule follow-up meetings with you, and we'll take this process and we'll go through it. And we'll go through the road repairs, what you want on the list, how those damages should be grouped together. And I'll show you about grouping in just a minute. And then everything that we need to do to meet that 60-day mark. Now, it's also my understanding that not only do you have debris, but you have road repairs, and you have 2 buildings, I believe, that you had needed roof repair done. And those will also need to be on the list. And it was, again, my understanding from the exploratory call that we had that those categories are pretty much your damages that you had. The other thing that I wanted to ask about was we have a Category B work that we do that's emergency services. And in emergency services, I think we brought that up on the exploratory call, and that is anything that you had to do to prepare for the storms that came through, anything that you did above and beyond of what your normal services would be, and then anything that you had to do to take that down. And what I'm talking about are things such as, did you have to put out roadblocks to barricade roads, things of that nature? Did you have any kind of search and rescue operations that you had to do? That is, again, also covered by FEMA in a category of work. So when we did the exploratory call, we talked about debris, category A. We talked about emergency services, category B. We talked about roads and culverts, category C. And we talked about buildings and equipment, which was category E. All the other categories, I don't think that y'all had any damages in. It was flood control, such as dams and things of that nature, utilities, such as electrical utilities or water supply, and then the other last category was category G, which would be parks and recreation. It's kind of a catch-all for everything else. But I think, again, debris, emergency services, roads and culverts, and buildings and equipment were the 4 categories that you said that you had damages in. For the next 60 days, however, if you come across other damages, you can add those to the damage inventory list. However, after 60 days, and if you'll look at your agenda, and you look at the damage inventory deadline, October 18th, that's when the damage inventory list has to be submitted and put into grants manager. That is the last day that we can put damages on the list. Now, as far as today is concerned, and I do apologize for the fact that Mr. Smith and I had the miscommunication about the list of damages. I will get that from him. But as far as today is concerned, what I wanted to do was, and if you could pass this around, this is what we call the damage inventory list. Each one of your damages will go down here and we'll ask the different questions, basically where the damage is located and how much it's going to cost, estimated cost to repair. We know that it may not be an exact cost, but somewhere close to give us an idea. Because, again, I go back to the exploratory call that we had. It's my understanding, especially with the culverts, roads and culverts, that's going to be over $1 million. Is if you put them all together. So anyway, this.
Should I make copies of this for everybody?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Could I say something, James?
Yes.
The category A streamline project application creates its own damage inventory, so they will not be doing a damage inventory for category A.
Right. And what Philip is talking about is once we upload this list, everything gets a project number. And that project number basically, and I'll talk about this later on, it goes through the steps, the FEMA steps, basically to get funded. Category A is its own project. We will put it on this list until we upload it. Once we upload it, we'll take it off because, again, Category A and Category B are their own projects. It's just the way that it works within FEMA. It does not mean that it's not going to be looked at and reimbursed. It just takes a different route if you will, than your roads and culverts and your buildings stay. But for the purposes of the next 60 days, we will put it on that list so that you, the commissioners, can take a look at the full list of things that we will actually be looking at for reimbursement.
You want everyone to sign this that's here?
Yes, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yes. And I know that I'm skipping around on the agenda, but it's probably best that we do it this way. Okay, this damage inventory list is very important. Again, it will actually cover everything that you want to have a reimbursement for. It will be put on this list, and then once it's put on the list, we will actually start grouping the different items that you have on this list. And by grouping, if you have, I don't know, well, first of all, we'll probably group each of them by precinct. That will probably be the first grouping order. Then after that, if you have roads that have similar damages, we'll probably put them together. If you have culverts that need to be replaced, we'll probably put those together. And they'll end up, they may take up four lines on this sheet. We may put them in one line. And then once we upload that, they're all in one project together. Now, one way that we will probably look at this is if you have damages that you've already repaired and they're 100% complete, they would still go on this list, but we would probably put all of those damages together because they're already done. If you have projects that you want to look at for mitigation, such as you have 2 culverts at one side in a road and you want to put 3 there, just to prevent the flooding from happening again. And it was my understanding from the exploratory call that y'all were looking at a few sites where you did want to look at mitigation. We'll probably put all of those mitigation sites together. What we do when we group is we look at what is going to be the quickest way to get these through the system, to get them funded, get that funding to the state, and then the state will reimburse the county. So we're looking at the quickest way to get it through the system. So number one, we got to have the list, the full list. Number two, once we get the full list, we'll group them together. Number three, once we group them together, we'll upload them into Grants Manager and assign them a project. And once they get assigned a project, they'll start going through our system. And what I mean by going through our system, each one of the projects will need documentation. Each one of the projects will be reviewed by our CRC, which is the Consolidated Resource Center that we have, and they look at the projects as far as policy. Do they meet policy? Excuse me, what is the estimate of these projects? That's the type of a review that the CRC will do. Once they approve those, the projects will come back for a final review with FEMA and the state and the applicant. And then once that is done, you will sign, and that's when the money starts moving. So those are the steps that
What's the
we
length
do.
of that time frame you think?
Sir,
You just started and you just ended,
what are the steps?
Yeah, what's that length of time, do you think?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. This is a, well, let's shown on the back. This is a project delivery plan right here. This shows the different steps that each project has to go through. Site inspections, then an inspection report is done. Once an inspection report is done, you have project formulation, then you have EEIs, which are essential elements of information. So what is that? That's documentation, the documentation that you need. And then it goes to the CRC, and then once it comes back from the CRC, we have the different steps for review. If you want to look at this right here, I put in a date on this, just saying that we started today on August the 20th. And we did our site inspections in, but we won't. It's going to be 2 weeks before we do that. But if we started today, and what I told a group of people the other day is there's about 10 different steps here. 8 to 10 different steps. It's kind of like driving through a town that has a road that has 8 red lights on it. If you get from this point to this point and you don't catch a red light, that's what this is, the best case scenario. And so if it started on August the 20th, what you would be looking at is December the 25th or thereabouts. To get a project through. If you want to kind of look at that, we will have a project delivery plan for each one of the projects that we put together. And so what we will end up doing there is, more than likely, it will not hit on that perfect schedule. And we know it won't because we know that we're not able to do our site inspections today. It'll probably be a couple of weeks before we get those done. Is there a penalty for not hitting any one of those milestones? The answer is no. There's not a penalty for that. But the quicker we can get it through, the quicker the money comes. That's the bottom line to it. So when we put the projects together, and y'all can have that, make copies of it. But when we put the projects together, the site inspections, getting those done is going to be very important. Getting the documentation for each one of the projects, pulling that together is going to be very important. Because if you have all the documentation and it goes to the CRC, if the CRC does not have to come back and ask for additional information, that just saves time. So that's why each one of those steps is very important, that we hit it, get all the information together at one time instead of kind of piecemealing it through. So. But that is the project delivery plan. So we would be looking at a perfect scenario would be what, 2.5 to 3 months. Yeah.
James, quick question. I can't see the graphic they're looking at. Are you saying best case scenario 3 months to obligation or 3 months to reimbursement?
No, to obligation.
Okay.
To obligation. After, and what Matthew was talking about, after that point right there, the money would flow, but that money would flow to the state. And then the state reimburses the county in this case, or whoever the applicant is. And I'm assuming, Matthew, that the work would need to be completed. Is that correct?
It doesn't have to be fully complete. So when you're doing your projects, let's say one road is a project and you fixed half of it, you can go ahead and claim reimbursement on the half you fixed and paid for. And then the other half, as you're doing it and as you're paying for things, you can claim reimbursement. But obviously it's a reimburse, so the county has to pay first and then you can get reimbursed afterwards, but it's only for completed work, if that makes sense. So.
We're already paying for it.
And this,
Yeah.
this reimbursement, is it gonna be a percentage of, I mean, do y'all know how much?
Yes, it's 75%, so FEMA will cover 75%.
Okay.
and then county will do 25%.
Okay, my next question on mitigation, I've got two of mine for major deals. I had one 6-foot tank car, I replaced it with two, you know, to prevent mitigation. Is that gonna still fall under 75%? I mean, or, you know, does it change? And I've got a bridge that they're currently building, it was a 30-foot bridge, but after it washed out, we had to step back and make it a 50. And is that considered mitigation as well?
Yes, now, and here's where I can get maybe back on the agenda.
Okay.
Number one, what we're governed by is the Stafford Act, and then the Stafford Act is our policy and guidelines, or what we call the Public Assistance Program and Policy Guide, or you'll hear it referred to as the PAPA-G. And right now, this disaster was covered under the PAPA-G version 4. As Matthew talked about, the split there is 75% FEMA or federal government, 25% county. That counts for everything, but let me qualify that. If you had a damage and you were going to replace it in kind, and it took $50,000, that split would be 75-25 of that $50,000. If it went up to $100,000, if it was mitigated and approved, and it went up to $100,000, that would still be a 75-25 split. So it would cost the county more, but it would still be the 75-25 split.
Okay. I was just curious if there was any, if it was different. Okay.
No. But that goes back to the fact of, on the damages that we have, we need to know which ones are going to be mitigated. Even if you've already constructed it,
Yeah.
we need to know if it was mitigated, because we have a mitigation officer that would have to come out and look at it. The state has folks from mitigation, their mitigation, that would probably want to look at it also.
So we'll just put it on here if it was
That's
somewhere.
right. The list that I get, that y'all gave Mr. Smith, and we'll go through those and we'll mark the ones that you want as far as mitigation goes. Again, whether it's already repaired or not, we need to know if it has been mitigated. If it's been put back, if it's 100% complete and put back in kind as it was before the event, we won't even inspect it. What we'll do is ask for the documentation of what was done and how much it costs. That documentation will still have to come through. But we won't do a site inspection, because there's no need to do a site inspection of something that's already been repaired. So,
Just to add on to that real quick, in other meetings from site inspectors, we've heard if anything's more than 50% complete, they won't come out and look at it, because at that point it's too hard for them to evaluate the damages. So if you guys have roads that you've fixed halfway or more,
Most of mine are 80%.
yeah, then they probably, unless for the ones for mitigation that you have, they'll still want to come out and look at that for sure.
Matthew, let me, if I could, I thought it was 50. They're upping that to about 75% now.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but, you know, sometimes it's hard to tell whether you're 75% complete or 50%
Right.
complete. But it will be your best estimate. And Matthew, I didn't realize that until, I guess, a couple of days ago. We were told
Nice.
that it's.
I have a lot of photographs I took, during the projects that we repaired. Do I need to go get those downloaded, or copies made, or whatever?
The short answer would be yes. Yes, sir. Anything that you have that shows a before, during, and after,
Okay.
it would be best. I would rather have too much information
And not enough.
than not enough.
Now, the only pictures I've got are the ones y'all took, that when I met with TDM. I mean, and circumstance, that's just the way it was, I mean, before. Cause I took y'all, when I took y'all around, that's
Is
all.
that during when we did this, PSTAT?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, y'all got it.
Those have all submitted, yeah.
Yeah.
So those actually go up to the
Okay.
state, and then the state sends them to FEMA.
Yeah, I
So-
dropped them all on
Yeah.
that, and then,
No.
you know.
But it's very important that anything that you do, if it's contract, for some reason, FEMA and the state both will want to look at that contract. They'll want to look at the documentation of the contract, how the contract was awarded, what kind of solicitation did you go through, was it competitive, things of that nature. If it's what we call a forced account is your own labor, county maintenance. With that, we'll need anything that you charge, such as a piece of equipment, the cost per hour, the number of hours, anything that you keep as far as running that piece of equipment, as far as your labor, the cost of labor. Yes, sir. It needs to be comprehensive. So I just want you, or to let you know that going in, that the best records that you can keep, again, having too much information on the front end is better than having.
Let me ask you this, I got a bridge went out, okay, in order to get, I mean, we're limited on who can build a bridge for us. Hey, it's tough. We voted and went under emergency because I had a road closed, and it's still closed. They're currently building it. There wasn't a contract, there wasn't a bid. We just, I mean, I told them to build it. You know, is that gonna be a problem? I bought the material, and then he gave me a list. I bought the material, he's doing the labor, and he just showed up to build it. It's gonna cost over
Let me
$100,000.
check on that.
It's gonna cost over $100,000.
Right, let me check on that. And basically, you put the bridge, you didn't put it back in kind. It would still have to be looked at from
Yeah,
the
it's
mitigation.
mitigation, because we had to extend it under circumstances. We had to make a 30-foot, we had to make a 50-foot bridge where
But-
there wasn't 30.
You did it with forced account instead of a contractor coming in. It's pretty much the difference.
No, I got a contractor to build it.
Oh, okay. No, I don't see where that will be, but we'll still have to look at it.
We're limited on bridge builders in the rural area. I don't know if y'all
State of
understand.
Texas, there ain't many. I mean, this guy,
No, I mean,
this
like,
boy goes, he was fixing to go south.
Yeah, when it
And I had to
comes
catch
down,
him before
yeah,
he
when
went
it
back.
comes down to, when you're doing, as long as y'all follow your process.
Yeah.
On how to obtain.
We did everything legal here.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, I had to commit to him before he,
Yeah.
sure, he went south and
Yeah.
wasn't gonna be back for 4 months.
Right.
All you gotta do is
I'm
document.
sitting there with the road
You follow your
closed.
policy, you follow your procedures, yeah.
When it comes down to having to get the work done, you know, that is understandable.
Sure.
And you had
You
to
see,
do
that road's been closed since first of May, it's
Yeah.
still closed, and I'm trying to get it up, I mean, hopefully, I mean, and really, it's the best, it could have been a lot worse if I couldn't have got it here, so.
So,
And like on a lot of stuff I did, so it's a forced account, because we're the ones hauling material down there, we're using our own dump truck equipment, but like on some of these culverts I had to replace, you know, if I needed 40 loads of clay, I've got my truck on it, and then I've got 3 to 4 contracted trucks. When I say contracted, you know, trade labor trucks. And then I've got a track hoe out there because we don't have a track hoe. So I've got a track hoe and an operator. Of course, we've got invoices where I paid for the track hoe and operator and dump truck, but yet it was all hands on deck, you know,
that's,
our equipment as well.
and that's fine. We understand that there's, a lot of times, there's a combination of both.
Okay,
You know,
that's good.
Contract.
I mean,
forced
we're
account.
under the gun to get the roads open.
It's just a matter of documenting what was done. Is what it amounts to.
And where the county has paid those invoices that these contractors charged us for dump trucks and track hoes and stuff like that, and that's the documentation we
Yes,
use.
that will
They
be.
coincide with the road, the dates
Yeah.
coincide, material that reviews, basically that little file that I've got for each road.
That's right.
That's what you need for documentation.
I've started, I've just got forward, I've got all my invoices for each project. I've just, as they come through, I mean, I've got them all sorted off, and I'm assuming that's what you need, so.
Yes, that's,
And you gotta
so,
figure your time and your labor, your people.
Yeah, I had, that's minus, I had to put anything in that.
And there's a FEMA rate sheet that you can.
so, and I've got, and please bear with me, I've got a whole stack of stuff here, sheets here, where I'm gonna have to ask questions for each category of work. And I hate to take up your time with this, but I've got to ask these questions. But they're probably going to cover some of the things that you're talking about. But the bottom line is, however you did the work, just keep up with that, whether it's contract, whether it's force account, whether it's combination, doesn't matter. Just keep up with how you had to do it. And also, we also understand that some of this, as I said, is 100% complete because you had to go ahead and get the work done. This is not a matter of, well, you started too soon or you did this or that. It's how you did the work and just the logic behind it. Is that?
Yeah, for your contracts, I was waiting until James was done, but we have so Kevin, he introduced himself earlier. He works for Comm, which the state hires support affiliates to help us with compliance reviews. And so if you guys wanted to send that to me or Brandy, and then we'll share it with Kevin, and we're happy to look over it. And especially if you're going to do contracts in the future for anything, just help them make sure they're compliant, because there are federal requirements that have to be met for all of those things. And it sounds like you guys are in a good spot, but those are all complex scenarios we just shared. So Kevin's happy to look, and I am too, at anything and just kind of walk through them with you guys and make sure that we're staying compliant, because procurement is a big pitfall for a lot of applicants where they work through a project and then they get to the procurement section and it ends up messing up the whole project. So we like to try and help on the front end where we can, so happy to assist there.
Also, and going back to the agenda, you'll see there under item 1D, I've got environmental and historic preservation, EHP. I think somebody's on the line from EHP. Basically, what we look at there is anything, are there any environmental issues, endangered species, things of that. We'll get into those questions. And also, are you doing any work on any kind of buildings like over 45 years old? And so environmental and historical and EHP will keep up with that. Mitigation, we talked about that. We have to look at it. If it's not going back in kind, mitigation, we'll have to look at it. And if it's already done, it needs to be noted, and mitigation will review that also. Insurance. I'm supposing that the two buildings that were damaged, are they carried by insurance?
Sure. They're covered by insurance, and we've got quotes for the building that we're in now, which the damage on the fourth floor on the north side of the building, that we just got a not to exceed quote for repair last Friday.
Okay.
And then tomorrow we will have, I think, 3 actual quotes from different contractors on the other building.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at as far as bidding out, but we don't know what the we don't know how much to expect really.
Okay. I will,
But the part of that on this building is because we have to stay in compliance with the historical commission. We can't just have somebody come put what they think would be best on here and the historical commission not comply. The other building, that's not a factor, so that's why we've got 3 different contractors, and it could be up to 6 bids. We held a bid meeting, we put it out in the paper, everything, notice was given.
okay. Well, from an insurance standpoint, I will get back with y'all. I will get with our insurance, the folks FEMA has that, or the insurance specialist, and see what all is involved there. I know it'll be looking at the policies and claims and things of that nature, so they'll look at that. Yes, if it's over 45 years old, that environmental and historical preservation will need to look at it, making, as you were talking about, Mr. Lane, making sure that going back with if it's on the historical register, that it's meeting what the historical register guidelines are, that sort of thing. So, and then we talked about the damage inventory and the project delivery plan. We talked about the 60 days. If there is, I know you have a list that's out there now, but again, today starts the 60-day schedule. If something else comes up where you identify damages that were caused due to the event that came through, and it has to be specific to that event, you still have time to put it on the list. And that 60 days, the deadline is October the 18th, but we'll have follow-up meetings between now and then to make sure that we stay on track with that. And then we talked about grouping and documents that are going to be required. Once we get the list and I look at it and the state can look at it, when we have these follow-up meetings, we'll get with you and see what a logical grouping will look like. You know, let's put this culvert with this one type thing, or let's put these road repairs together under one line item. But what we're, again, looking at is we don't want mitigation in with something that's 100% complete, because it's going to take longer to get mitigation through than 100% complete. And this is all about trying to get things moving as quickly as possible.
Would it be their advantage to complete all of these within this 60-day? I mean, to finish, I mean, we're 80% on like 3, but mainly we're letting the rock settle, you know, and all we like is putting oil sand, you know, putting our final oil, you know.
You're talking about where we've already replaced the culverts?
Yeah,
and we've got the clay, the culverts in the rock, but before we put the asphalt type material on top of the road again, we always let that rock settle
And add to it, because it was wet when we put it in, and we've had to go back and add a little rock, and I mean, would it be advantageous for us to go ahead and complete those? Because we've been sitting tight. We wanted to hear from y'all what we needed to do.
Now, Matthew may have another look at this, but the way I look at it is this. This damage inventory list is not meant to hold you up.
Okay.
Whatever your schedule is, continue on that schedule, because our standpoint, we don't want you to hold something open.
Well, and by doing that, we can tack down exactly what we've spent on it.
Yeah.
You know, in this 60, I mean, I can
final cost.
I can have a final cost on everything, you know, within this, and then it's not subject to anything in the future.
Only your mitigation. Only the things that you're going to mitigate.
But they're complete too. I'll be finished with them.
Yeah.
But
Because I gotta get the road open. You're supposed to be finished next week.
When the site inspector comes out, which it looks like it's probably going to be the first or second week in September, and her name is going to be Vinnie Terrell.
Hi, I'm listening in.
Are you in? Okay, Vinnie, did you hear?
Yeah, I had some comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So yes, I would like to, get with each commissioner with regards to their damages, categories of damages. I heard roads and buildings, culverts. I wasn't sure that I heard culverts or low water crossing or any bridges. and the number of damages that I'll be looking at. I intend to move up to Freestone County for the inspection. So I'm right now in Austin, but I'll physically come to your neck of the woods, and I'll go out with each commissioner and the state rep, and we will look at the damages, capture those damages. The commissioners identify the damages for me, and I will record that. And I'd like to start and finish with each commissioner, whatever their damages might be. So I heard some commissioners say I have 4, I have 5, I have 14. So once I see that damage list, then I can have a better idea of what we're looking at and how long I need to be in Freestone County.
Okay, and what they were talking about also, Vinny, was the fact that they're gonna keep on working. They're not gonna hold anything open.
Right.
And then, you don't look at anything that is 80% or over complete, is that correct?
The most recent information I got from my TFL, that's task force lead, was 50% or better. So, you know, so that's what he told me. So maybe when I leave the room, it's another number. But right now, it's 50% or greater to not to be looking at. But yeah, I'll confirm that and
I would
get that
think you would only
information
need
back to
one
you.
day.
But the last time I spoke with Steve, it
That'll be
was
quick,
50%.
Okay,
We'll
well,
come out and look at it. Yeah.
What they'll do is they'll get that, your list of damages that, I guess that, y'all submitted a couple weeks back. They'll get that list of damages, they're gonna go through it, kind of look through it and say, hey, we need to see this, that, and see this, that. Those are the ones that they'll actually do site inspections on. They'll make a decision then. And then, what they'll do is they'll set up dates for y'all to come out and do that, and then have a state rep there too, so.
Well,
Right,
well,
at the
maybe,
very same, yes, at the same time, so all of us are together, the commissioner, state rep, and myself.
so Vinny, are you looking at about the second week in September?
So I am looking at, look at my schedule right now, sorry about that. I'm looking at the second week in September, and I might be able to come out, I will actually be back here on the 4th of September. So, it probably will be the 9th of September that I'll be able to come out. Might be earlier, I just need to, you know, see what's happening here, but the 9th right now.
So what I would suggest on this is we'll set up a date when that's convenient for all the parties, but Vinny's looking at somewhere around the second week of September. And we'll take the list that you have, and it should have the percent complete. We'll mark on that, and I apologize, I was the one that said 80, now Vinny's saying 50. But if it's 50% or over, and it's on that list, then we're not going to do a site inspection on it. Now, what happens between now and the time that the site inspections are done is if some of that work crosses that threshold, then that won't be, there won't be a site inspection done there. That will just be making a decision when the time comes, making a decision on the cuff. But do not stop your work, please. You know, if it's in the normal course that you let something sit and settle, that's fine, but don't stop the work waiting on the inspection. So.
Right.
What are we gonna have, guys? It's not over 50% complete.
I'm not other than one, County Road 290.
Mine will all be over, I mean, I should be finished within the next couple of weeks. I've got 2 that are mitigation though, so.
I still have some to be repaired because I can't get a track over because you guys have got most of the track hose tied up down in your area.
Imagine that.
but I'm trying to get a track over to come to my area so that I can have my stuff done.
I was just saying, it's not gonna be that much.
I think a recommendation from what I've seen with other counties would be a good time, so we've got that second week in September date. You guys can go ahead and provide that list to FEMA. Then probably the week beforehand, at the whatever follow-up meeting you guys have with FEMA, would be a good time to go back through the list and say,
Update
what's
percentage. Yeah.
50% or more done? And then from there,
Mine's changed since last week, since I submitted it.
Yeah.
They're working on the bridge right now.
that way we're not planning for, if you did it right now and we say, oh, it's gonna take 3 days, and then we show up and it's like, well, actually, we're gonna be done this morning, and then be gone, so.
Yeah,
That way
I
we
can see, I
And,
don't need the full day here.
and we have, even with this event, kind of run into that situation before where we thought there were numerous damages, and when we got there, this particular county said, well, about half of these are already 50% are complete. And so Matthew brings up a good point, and that's what we were talking about before. This is just the first meeting. From here out, there are follow-up meetings, and that's one reason of what they're for. These follow-up meetings, we ask for them every week to 2 weeks. And it may not be a face-to-face, some of them might be, but they'll be by Teams meeting, we'll be on the phone call. And what that allows us to do is just keep an update of where everybody is. And that way there's, for lack of a better way of putting it, no wasted effort on anybody's part. So we'll take the list that we got, we'll take the percentages that we got, we'll work from that, and then we'll do the follow-up meeting before the inspections, and we'll update that list at that point in time. That doesn't mean that these items won't come off the list. It just means that if they're 50% or more, they won't get inspected. The documentation and everything will still have to come in with each one of the damages. So,
another suggestion I might make, if you don't mind.
sure.
When y'all do the damage inventory list, it may be beneficial for you guys to put, it sounds like you guys are putting it all together in one list, but it may be good to keep the precinct number associated with the site.
Sure.
Because it sounds like the way you guys work, it may be helpful to keep projects grouped by precinct, just for documentation and things like that. So that would just be a helpful thing to have on there.
We will also I will ask mitigation, if a mitigation specialist, if they can come out for the inspections so that they can look at anything that's to be mitigated or has been mitigated. They'll need to look at that. Also, after we go through the questions, if EHP, the Environmental Historical Preservation, if they want to have a rep, that will be up to them whether they do that or not. And there again, each one of you will be there for your precincts, or if all 4 of you want to go to all of them, that's fine, it doesn't matter. And then the state will also have a rep, and Vinny will be leading the site inspections. So, any questions about that part of it? Okay. The other thing that FEMA that I have down here is basically the 4C that I wanted to talk about. As far as emergency work, FEMA has a 6-month moratorium, if you will, on having that completed. The emergency work includes debris. I don't know if you'll have your debris done, and that 6 month is from time of declaration. So the declaration was done May the 17th. If that is going to be a problem, then the county is able to ask for an extension on that. You'll go through the state to ask for the extension, and then the state will talk with FEMA about getting that extended. As far as the other work, the culverts and the buildings, that is considered permanent work, and that has a 18-month timeframe. on
Okay,
it.
so you said 6 months on like our debris from May.
On the same thing.
November 17th, okay.
Yeah, so
We should
I
be.
don't want that to slip up on anybody.
We should be, you're waiting for cooler weather.
So, and then, the emergency measures, which, again, it'll be up to us today to decide whether or not you want to put anything in for emergency measures. So that is going, kind of repeating myself. Category A, debris. Category B, emergency measures. Category C is roads and culverts. Category E is buildings. There's one other category I want to bring up, Category Z. Yeah, we get all the way through that one. Category Z is administrative costs. Anything that you do that's all-inclusive, such as this meeting right here, it's got a time factor and a labor factor that's associated with it, I'm sure, in some fashion or another. Category Z covers all administration when it talks about all of your damages as a whole. So if you have somebody that's keeping up with this and it takes them however many hours that they're working on all of these damages, keeping up with them, you can put their costs to that, any kind of administrative cost. The kicker is, though, it has to be for all the damages as a whole. You have to be working on them collectively. If you're working on the damages individually, then that is covered by time and labor that you'll submit in your documentation. But an overall look and the time it takes to do that administratively, we do have a Category Z that you can submit that is based. It comes in at the end and it's based on what the county gets for its damages. I think it's up to 5%, I believe.
It's 5% of all your projects put together, so the total funds for everything that FEMA obligates you, it's 5% of that, is the max you can claim.
On buildings and equipment, are you saying category D is in David or E is in Edward?
E.
E.
E is in it.
A, B, C, E, and Z.
A, B, C, E, F, E, Z. And in fact, if you want it just for your records, I don't have a copy printed out, but I can send you a copy of every category that FEMA does. It's A through G. And then now they have Category Z, which is at administrative. But again, the Category Z still requires the documentation of what you're charging.
Give it to me one more time. A is what?
A is debris. B is emergency measures.
All right.
C is roads and culverts.
All right.
E is building and equipment.
All right.
And Z is inclusive administrative costs. Okay, if y'all will bear with me.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Hey, this is Caitlin with Environmental Planning and Historic Preservation. I just wanted to know if now would be a good time to go over some EHP questions and considerations for the RSM.
Yes, please do, because after that, I'm going to get into the questions I have to ask, and that's going to take a little time. So, yes, go ahead.
Perfect, thank you so much. Good morning. Again, my name is Caitlin Boyce. I work with FEMA's Office of Environmental Planning and Historic Preservation. It is my job to be a resource to you and to Mr. Ross to help keep all of your projects in compliance with federal environmental law. In Grants Portal, you're going to have a document from us. That's what we call our green sheet. Our green sheet goes over all the environmental laws and regulations we have to look at and review for when reviewing your projects. Those documents also have contacts to your state counterparts and federal counterparts that you may need to consult concerning your projects. I do have a couple questions for y'all, and I'm just gonna go by category to keep it simple, if that is okay. So starting with the category A projects, it sounds like we're pretty much complete with the debris activities. Did we use or utilize any temporary debris staging and or reduction sites for the Cat A debris removal?
I didn't understand the question.
Did you have any temporary disposal sites for your debris, or are you gonna have any temporary disposal sites?
We put it, we burn it.
Or staging site, like where wherever you're keeping it right now before you burn it or
No.
throw it away?
Now, we usually just handle it one time.
Yeah.
Have them marked up. We can have them temporary, and they would be temporary sites scattered around. I mean, because we've got landowners that let us burn on them to keep from hauling it 10
Okay.
miles, you know.
But you only handle it once it goes to one site, and that's.
Yeah, we're not going to have that would, yeah, we try to handle it one time.
Okay,
Are those-
Caitlin, did you get that no temporary disposal?
Okay, no temporary disposal, but I did pick up burning. Did we burn all the vegetative debris, or are we sending some to a landfill and burning the rest? What is the anticipated plan for the debris?
Burn it all.
Okay, and Caitlin, they have disposed of some, but all of it's not picked up yet. So this will be all inclusive of what they've done and what they plan on doing, and that's burning.
Yeah, and something I'd like to add as far as, because I know that we don't think about some of the floods and debris that was people's household trash, because, you know, we didn't have the floods here. Our main debris is from trees, from straight line winds and tornadic winds that blowed over. So when we say we have burnt brush.
Right.
No couches in it,
Right.
no, you know what I mean?
Right.
We didn't have that type of disaster here. Ours was just more wind and.
Flood damage, yeah.
You had,
I mean, our flood damage washed out some roads, but we didn't lose.
we look at debris in different categories, and the main category, it sounds like here, is vegetative.
Yeah,
You do have C and D, which is construction and demolition, which you didn't really have. So Caitlin, most of their debris is, or all of it, sounds like, is vegetative, and they will take it to different spots, but it will only be handled once. And wherever they take it to, it'll be burned.
Yes, that's good.
Okay, thank you for that information, I appreciate it. For the disaster and for the burning, we are going to need a TCEQ burn permit. For that, if you need copies of the application of where to submit that to TCEQ, we have copies of those applications within our green sheet. Again, that green sheet is uploaded to Grants Portal, and there's also a link that'll take you over to TCEQ's website for where to apply for that permit for the burning.
Quick question there. So you guys said that you're putting it on landowner sites to burn, and is the landowner the one that's burning it?
No,
You guys are burning it? Okay.
That's just in
Just
certain
checking.
areas.
Yeah.
Keep them off.
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
locations, it's county property.
Yeah, we burn in our yard and, you know, on our property as well, but to keep from hauling it
Yeah.
10, 15 miles, we try to find them. And then we've got spots, I guess it's on.
Wide spot on the road.
Wide spot on the road, and we've got places
If
where.
it keeps you from driving 5 miles down the road, and we start burning there, and we just add to it all day long.
That's fine. I was just asking, we have another county that they put it on the landowners, and then the landowners are burning it under their ag permit or whatever for their land. So that just changes what she said a little bit, but it sounds like the TCEQ thing was still good.
And is that a big deal, or is that just a formality?
No, I as far as what? Who burns it?
Get the burn permit. I mean, this first I know anything about a burn permit.
Caitlin,
Yes, sir.
Under a burn ban, we
We're
had to get a permit.
We're asking because we have been asked by TCEQ to make sure that for any burning, mulching, or temporary debris staging and reduction, there is state permits. And because TCEQ is the regulator for that, we defer to them. So yeah, we will look for the TCEQ burn permit and then the THC disposal site evaluation and registry form. That link is also in the green sheet, so if you need applications or links to those applications, those can be found in your grants management portal. And if you need assistance in where to find the green sheet, please let me know, and I can definitely forward over a copy in an email.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll also be working with the state on that too, as far as what's necessary. Yes, ma'am. Did you have anything else, Caitlin?
Yes, sorry, that was just for the Cat A. For the Cat C, it sounds like for the bridge, if we have any associated photos, I know y'all are in the middle of construction for the new bridge. Please just be mindful of taking some photos for us would be really helpful, and GPS points of any new pilings for potential ground disturbance activities. We would also like to advise. Actually, let me back up. Is the bridge over any water body, or is it over an existing road?
The bridge, what does it cross over?
The dry creek, it just, it's a creek that's just,
Wet weather creek.
yeah, wet weather, when the water's down.
Okay. It's what they call a dry creek, Caitlin. It only has water in it when they get a flood event or a high rain event.
Okay.
Real estate agent called it a scenic water feature.
Okay. Otherwise, it's dry.
Okay. For any of the mitigation activities, specifically for the culverts and for the change in dimension to the bridge, we would advise to correspond with your local USACE regulatory office just to ensure compliance with any applicable federal wetland and water regulations. Contacts to those counterparts at USACE are also listed within our green sheet. When you do coordinate with them, please provide any coordination documentation. Email is sufficient into GM.
Which entity was that?
It's the Army Corps of Engineers, the abbreviation to USACE, but.
Right, the regulatory office, each, I don't know, I'm not sure which district this falls under, whether it's Fort Worth or Galveston. Do you know which Corps district this falls? Whichever district it falls under, it should have a regulatory office associated with it. And you just,
yes. And we have the boundary map for the USACE jurisdiction as far as what the regulatory offices are in the green sheet. I believe for Freestone County, it would be Fort Worth.
cool. Okay, Caitlin?
I'm sorry, cut out. What was that?
We just saying, any other questions?
Okay, last thing, and I promise, so sorry. Last thing is to please reach out to your local floodplain administrator. Since we are upsizing some culverts, changes could potentially trigger or might require a H&H study. So please get with your local floodplain administrator for any of the mitigation on culverts. Other than that, I think that's all I have as of right now. Again, if there are any questions for me after this meeting, please let Mr. Ross know. And if I have anything for you, I will reach out to y'all through him.
Okay.
How do we find out who that local floodplain administrator is?
I can find out who that person would be. Would y'all know, Matthew?
I don't know for this county, no, sir.
Okay, I'll look into that. And
What agency will they be with?
it would not be the Corps, and I'm not that familiar with it. Let me see if I can just find some information on that.
The county had one at one time, and we appointed Greg to it, I think. You ever had a floodplain manager?
We still do have one.
Who is it?
Will McSwain.
No.
Yep, it's not me. It's not me, it's Will McSwain.
No.
Look back in the records.
I'll look back in the records.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
And-
generally administered through our office, so that's why none of them know really which one it is.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
All right, well, thank you, I appreciate it. And while we're doing this, do we have anybody on from mitigation? Okay, I'll get with our mitigation specialist as far as this goes. Sometimes they're not on these phone calls, but they do like to be on the inspections for, especially if there's going to be any damages that are going to be mitigated. So, and in this case, there are going to be. So I will get with them and see if, well, they will either need to be here or get the documentation on what's been mitigated, one of the two, but they're going to have to look at it one way or the other. And then Philip, did you have anything else? Philip may have dropped off. No, Philip's still.
No, nothing at this time. I sent you a questionnaire on debris, and I will be following up with other questions or requests for documents.
Okay, and that was with debris.
Yeah, category A debris, for that work.
Okay. Any other questions from the FEMA personnel? What about from the state that's online? Okay, hearing none. Okay.
This is Kevin Epley, affordability for, so the recipient just wanted to quickly mention, I know there was conversation about payments after credits are obligated. I wanted to quickly mention the account activation within TDM's grants management system for Freestone County. I sent out some documents for that account activation, which includes just a list of your contact, direct deposit form, the grant terms and conditions. So as we work with FEMA, so I'll be projects that we transfer to GMS where we process payments and close out. So if you have any questions about those documents, please feel free to ask if you have taken a look at them already. I believe I sent them originally on June 11th. So just let me know if you need to resend those or if you have any questions.
Who'd you send them to?
Did those go to Leonard Smith or?
Did, Kevin, did those go, who did you send them to with the county?
Let me take a look.
Yeah, just like a checklist for each.
It was sent
I mean,
to
apparently that's what it's going to
Karen Craddock and Linda Grant.
Okay, Judge, you should have gotten a copy of it, I think, Judge, and then,
And what is that?
Ms. Craddock, well, he also sent it to her.
Or what document are you saying?
It was, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'll say I can report it if needed.
Perfect. So Kevin, it's hard to hear you, but so you're doing everything right now in FEMA's grants system, and that's how the projects get developed. And then once you go to submit reimbursement, you move over to the state's grants management system. It's called GMS. And so Kevin just sent you some PDF documents to fill out so we can make you an account.
All right.
That's it.
Definitely prioritize the GI spreadsheet because we got to get, there's a deadline for that. But just, when we do get projects obligated and get this out of the way, we can start processing those payments here.
Okay. So again, Judge, that I think he's going to resend those to you, and also Matthew, if y'all can send that to Leonard Smith.
I'll tell Kevin that now.
Okay. Anything else from the state? Okay, and the reason I'm doing this, I'm getting all, go ahead.
That's all. I was gonna ask for your road and bridge projects, do you guys expect within your precinct that it'll go over $1 million for repairing your roads? Total, just for your precinct?
No, not per person.
Okay. Okay, because FEMA's threshold for a large project is $1,030,000, and once you get over that, it becomes a lot more stringent in their compliance review at the end, because those are large projects. So the smaller ones typically, kind of as James was saying, as far as getting reimbursed faster, the smaller ones typically go quicker. So I just wanted to get a heads up on the front end.
And the reason I'm kind of clearing this out is because of the questions that I'm fixing to ask. They'll get into that. And I don't want to take up anybody's time that doesn't want to stay for these or stay online for these. But since you have the different categories, I have to ask these questions on Category A, the debris, Category B, the emergency measures, unless you decide that you're not going to do anything under emergency measures. Then Category C for the roads and culverts, and then Category E for the buildings and equipment. So if I could, and again, there are a good many of these. So I want to go ahead and get started where we can push through these if we could. As far as the debris is concerned, how would you categorize that? Moderate, light, or heavy? And from what I'm getting, it was a pretty good bit of debris. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
For the county-wide?
Total? You're talking
Yes.
about total for the county?
Yes, sir. All of these will be county-wide. Okay. I know y'all don't have a estimated amount yet, but just when you put it in those categories, it was a heavy debris. So, and it was mostly vegetated.
It's all vegetated.
All kinds of vegetative.
Okay. At this point in time, how much would you say countywide has been picked up and disposed of?
Percentage wise or cubic yards?
Pardon?
Percentage wise?
Percentage, yes, sir. And it doesn't have to be
I
exact.
hadn't touched any of
I
mine.
got 10% of mine.
Probably 10% of mine. There were some we gathered up, but I mean, we just,
Yeah, I'm closer to 75 on mine because we,
So do you think 50% is that, or just, again,
I
countywide?
would say over 50% average. Countywide.
yeah, yeah, right at it, because like I said, we hadn't touched much of ours.
Okay,
And y'all have done 75, so, probably 40%. I'd say a little under 50.
okay.
Work like loggers.
I was too busy getting roads back together. We didn't make
And it says, does the applicant have legal responsibility to perform the work? Yes. And it's being done to protect the public. Does the applicant have a FEMA accepted debris management plan? And you said that you're picking up, handling it once and burning it.
Right.
So,
I don't know if that's FEMA management plan or not.
that's it.
That's what we're gonna
Okay, the type of debris is vegetative. And it had a full list here. I'll go through it quickly, but you said it was vegetative. Construction, demolition, white goods, e-waste, sand, soil, mud, stumps, probably some stumps in there. Hazard, leaning trees, hanging limbs, and wet debris. So you just picked up the stuff that was on the ground, did you?
We picked it up, we just shoved it out of the way.
Just,
We
yeah.
got leaning trees, I mean, we dealt with them as we went through. 'cause,
Okay, okay.
yeah, some of those are blocking the road as well.
It depends on which way they're gonna fall, if we were,
Right.
I mean,
They
the
gonna
ones
fall
that,
on the
the
land.
ones that we're gonna have to come back out there, we got, and the ones that was gonna fall away from the road, there's some of them still there, but they're
That's
falling
fine.
into a bunch of timber, you know?
That's basically what FEMA says from a debris standpoint, if it's gonna interfere with transportation, if it's gonna be a public hazard.